The clown show continues. The clown show is no longer the takeover. It's the clown show led by lead clown Stephanie White and company. Stephanie White is not going to take any responsibility for this team not getting Caitlin Clark involved in the fourth quarter.
The clown show. That's what one of the most passionate voices in WNBA analysis just called the Indiana Fever's coaching situation. And after watching Stephanie White's latest press conference, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Because what we're witnessing isn't just a team struggling to find chemistry. It's a complete coaching meltdown happening in real time, with the league's biggest star caught in the middle. Caitlin Clark went the entire fourth quarter without a shot attempt until 1 minute remained. Not because she was injured, not because she was in foul trouble, but because her coach has absolutely no idea how to get her involved in the offense.
Steph, I see you circling stuff. I'm guessing the free throws will probably be in a circle. Just talk about the game and how that might have difference. You held them to 30% shooting and I think 11% for three, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter. We had 2. And we did foul intentionally 3 times, so that's 6. You know, it was not a pretty game, you know, certainly. I felt like, you know, in spite of that, we gave ourselves opportunities, but it's really tough. I mean, we missed 11 layups.
Listen to how Stephanie White talks about this loss. 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter for the opposition. The Fever had 2. That's an 11-to-1 disparity in free throw attempts during the most critical period of the game. And White's response? Word salad. Vague generalizations about missed layups and momentum killers, without addressing the actual problem. Here's what she won't say. Kelsey Mitchell took shot after shot while Caitlin Clark stood watching. Aaliyah Boston, making $6 million per year, couldn't finish at the rim. The team's offensive execution in crunch time looked like a pickup game at the local YMCA, not a professional basketball team with playoff aspirations. But the most telling part? White keeps saying we, as if this is a collective failure. It's not. This is a coaching failure, plain and simple.
It's really tough when you're missing those kinds of shots to get back in transition defense. You know, it's momentum killers at times. Some of our turnovers, you know, we've just strung together a couple of...
No, I'll tell you what's a momentum killer. When Caitlin Clark goes and gets a 12-point lead and you sub her out and it drops to 5 in the snap of a finger. Your rotations are a momentum killer. Kelsey Mitchell missing wide open layups on a fast break, blowing a Caitlin Clark assist. That's a momentum killer. Kelsey Mitchell dribbling the ball.
The momentum killer argument is particularly rich coming from Stephanie White. You want to talk about momentum killers? Let's talk about what actually killed Indiana's momentum in this game. Caitlin Clark builds a 12-point lead. The Fever are rolling. The offense is clicking. And then White subs her out. Within minutes, that 12-point cushion evaporates to 5. That's not a missed layup problem. That's a rotation problem. That's a coaching problem. Kelsey Mitchell gets a fast break opportunity off a perfect Caitlin Clark pass. Wide open layup. She misses it. That's not just a missed shot. That's a wasted assist, a blown opportunity, and yes, a momentum killer. But you won't hear White call out Mitchell specifically, even though Mitchell's ball-dominant style is strangling this offense.
Causes challenges. I mean, we couldn't get C loose very much at all, and we got to do a better job of finding ways to do that.
We couldn't get C loose very much at all. We got to find a better way of doing that. How about setting some real damn picks, Stephanie White? See, you think we stupid. You getting up here giving us all this word salad, all this gibberish that means nothing. You have no idea what the hell you doing. You have no idea how to get Caitlin Clark free. You think getting her free is taking her off the ball even more. No, you need to put the ball in her hands more.
Now we get to the heart of the problem. White admits they couldn't get Caitlin Clark loose. She acknowledges that the defense's length caused challenges. And her solution? We got to do a better job finding ways to do that. That's not a solution. That's an admission of incompetence dressed up in coach speak. You know how you get Caitlin Clark loose against length? You set actual screens. Not the soft, lazy picks that Indiana's been setting all season. Real physical screens that force defenders to navigate around bodies. You run pick-and-roll actions that put the defense in rotation. You give Clark the ball in space and let her break down the defense with her passing vision. Instead, White's brilliant plan is to take Clark off the ball even more. Run her around screens like she's Reggie Miller in 1995, hoping she gets open for a catch-and-shoot 3. That might work if the person with the ball actually passed it. But when Kelsey Mitchell has the ball, she's not looking to pass. She's looking to shoot.
You're punch drunk.
Their link caused some problems for us. We got a little tunnel vision, I felt like. And
Oh, tunnel vision. Won't you put a name on it? Put a name on that tunnel vision. Kelsey Mitchell, tunnel vision. Put a name on that. Put a name on it.
And, you know, we didn't move the ball at times offensively. For the most part, outside of the 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter, our defense gave us a chance.
She said we didn't move the ball much. Why you keep saying we? Why you keep saying we? It's only one person out there that was shooting every time they touched the damn ball. Monique Billings was balling today. Caitlin Clark didn't have the ball in her hands to get Monique Billings shots because Kelsey Mitchell was busy out there jacking up shots nonstop.
The tunnel vision comment is where this press conference goes from frustrating to infuriating. White says the team had tunnel vision, that they didn't move the ball offensively. And then she catches herself, pivots to talking about the opponent's 23 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter. Put a name on that tunnel vision, coach. Say it. Kelsey Mitchell had tunnel vision. Kelsey Mitchell pounded the ball into the floor 97 times before shooting. Kelsey Mitchell refused to move the ball. Kelsey Mitchell turned the offense into an isolation showcase, while the best passer in women's basketball stood in the corner watching. But White won't say that. She can't say that. Because addressing the Kelsey Mitchell problem would require actual coaching decisions, actual accountability, actual change. And based on everything we've seen, Stephanie White is incapable of making those decisions. The contrast is staggering. Monique Billings was cutting, moving, playing with energy, but she can't get shots because Caitlin Clark doesn't have the ball in her hands. And Clark doesn't have the ball because Mitchell is monopolizing possessions.
Kelsey Mitchell ain't passing it any goddamn way. That girl gonna be done shot it. This is a travesty. All we can hope is that this team keep losing and it brings change quickly. That's all we can hope.
And our offense stalled at times.
Coach, Caitlin, picking up on the foul thing, the fifth foul on Caitlin, she had to come out with about 6:26, I think, left in the fourth. And she's now gotten 4 or more fouls in the last 4 games. Yeah.
I can't shoot a free throw, so.
So how do you prevent that from happening?
Here's where the defensive excuse falls apart completely. White talks about help defense, about players not plugging gaps, about team defensive positioning, all valid points in isolation. But they miss the larger context. This team got pressed. Full court press. Basic basketball strategy that's been around since the invention of the game. And the Fever responded like they'd never seen a press in their entire lives. Panic. Turnovers. Confusion. The only player who knew how to handle the pressure was Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's supposedly still learning the professional game. Raven Johnson panicked. Kelsey Mitchell panicked. Aaliyah Boston panicked. These are veterans. Players who've been in the league for years, and they looked completely lost against a fundamental defensive strategy. That's not a personnel problem. That's a preparation problem. That's coaching. When your team gets rattled by a full-court press, it means you haven't prepared them for it in practice. It means you haven't drilled the press break until it becomes second nature. It means you failed at one of the most basic responsibilities of coaching basketball.
Is that just the way the game's being called?
I mean, some of it, but we've got to do a better job collectively as a team. I mean, there were a couple of those where we had opportunities to plug gaps because the person that we were guarding was behind the play, and we got impatient. The
team don't help. There's no help defense on this team. Just basic things. This team just has no idea what to do, and coaching matters. Like this team got out-coached. Y'all got pressed, and y'all act like y'all had never seen a full-court press.
And then we get to the Caitlin Clark foul trouble discussion. 5 fouls, forced to sit with 6 minutes and 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter. White's response, we have to do a better job collectively as a team. No. Caitlin has to do a better job staying out of foul trouble. That's on her. But you know what's also true? When your star player picks up her 5th foul, your offensive system should be good enough to function without her for a few minutes. It should be structured enough that other players know their roles and can execute. Instead, the Fever's offense completely collapsed without Clark on the floor. Because there is no offensive system. There are no set plays. There's no structure. It's just give the ball to Kelsey and hope she makes something happen. Or throw it to Aaliyah in the post and pray she finishes. That's not professional basketball. That's organized chaos masquerading as a game plan.
This team is a joke, man. I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. This team is a joke. They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, it's a travesty.
Got to the cuts. Got to the first half, especially the most active on the glass for us. Her cutting was really good. A couple of those opportunities, I felt like she was able to get going to the rim because she got out of screens quickly, or because off the ball she recognized open areas. Got to the cuts. She was solid for us on the defensive end of the floor, and her activity was very good. Look, I mean, we talked about it pregame. It's going to be finding her way. She's asked to play different.
The Aaliyah Boston discussion is particularly revealing. White talks about Boston being asked to play a different role than she played in previous seasons, about how she's adjusting to new responsibilities, new expectations. But here's the problem. Aaliyah Boston is making $6 million. She's being paid like a franchise player. And franchise players making that kind of money need to be able to make layups. They need to be able to finish around the rim. They need to be able to execute the basics of basketball. This isn't about adjusting to a new role. This is about fundamental execution. Boston missed 11 layups in this game. 11. Those aren't contested shots over 7-foot defenders. Those are point-blank opportunities that high school players convert. And when your max contract player can't finish those shots, your offense is going to struggle no matter what system you're running. But again, White won't hold Boston accountable, won't demand better execution, won't set standards and enforce them. It's all excuses, all deflection, all corporate coach speak designed to avoid actually addressing the problems. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture here. Because this isn't just about one bad game or one bad press conference. This is about a pattern that's been developing all season. A pattern that reveals fundamental problems with how Stephanie White is coaching this team. The Indiana Fever have the most talented rookie in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark isn't just a good player, she's a generational talent who broke every major scoring record in college basketball, who sees the floor better than players who've been in the league for a decade, who has the basketball IQ to run an offense at an elite level right now, and Stephanie White has no idea how to use her. Think about that. You have a point guard who averaged nearly 9 assists per game in college, who ran Iowa's entire offensive system, who made everyone around her better through her passing and court vision. And your solution is to take the ball out of her hands? To run her off screens like she's a spot-up shooter? To let Kelsey Mitchell dominate possessions while Clark stands in the corner? It's basketball malpractice. And the worst part is that White seems genuinely confused about why it's not working. She stands at that podium talking about needing to get Caitlin more involved, about finding ways to free her up, about doing a better job collectively. But her actual coaching decisions contradict everything she's saying. You want to get Caitlin involved. Put the ball in her hands. Run pick and roll. Let her orchestrate the offense. It's not complicated. This is basic basketball strategy that's worked for decades. Steve Nash ran pick and roll with Amari Stoudemire and won 2 MVP awards. Chris Paul built a Hall of Fame career on pick and roll excellence. Caitlin Clark has the skills to run those same actions at a high level right now. But instead, White is trying to fit Clark into some predetermined offensive system that doesn't match her strengths. And when it doesn't work, when Clark goes entire quarters without touching the ball, when the offense stagnates and the team loses, White blames everything except her own coaching decisions. The missed layups, the free throw disparity, the defensive breakdowns, the tunnel vision, everything except the actual problem, which is that she has no coherent offensive system and no plan for maximizing her best players' talents. And here's what makes this situation even more frustrating. We've seen what happens when Caitlin Clark is allowed to play her game. We've seen games where she has the ball in her hands, where she's running the offense, where she's creating for herself and others. And in those games, the Fever look like a completely different team. The offense flows, teammates get better shots, the spacing improves, everything works better. But then the next game, White goes back to the same broken system. Clark off the ball, Mitchell dominating possessions, Boston getting post touches that lead nowhere, and the whole thing falls apart again. It's like watching someone repeatedly touch a hot stove and act surprised when they get burned. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that's exactly what Stephanie White is doing with this team. Now, some people might argue that I'm being too hard on White, that she's a new coach trying to integrate a rookie into an established system, that these things take time, that we need to be patient and let her figure it out. But here's the thing. The WNBA season is only 40 games long. You don't have the luxury of time. You don't get to experiment for half a season and then figure it out. Every game matters. Every loss potentially costs you a playoff spot. And the Fever are wasting games, wasting opportunities, wasting Caitlin Clark's rookie season because their coach is too stubborn or too incompetent to make necessary adjustments. And it's not like the solutions are complicated or require some revolutionary new approach to basketball. This is basic stuff. Give your best playmaker the ball. Run actions that create advantages. Set real screens. move without the ball, play team defense. These are fundamental concepts that every basketball coach learns. But White can't or won't implement them. And every press conference, every post-game interview, every excuse-filled explanation just reinforces that she's in over her head. She's punch drunk, as the analyst said. She doesn't know where to turn. She's trying everything except the obvious solution, which is to build the offense around Caitlin Clark's strengths and hold the other players accountable for their roles. The Kelsey Mitchell situation is particularly egregious. Mitchell is a talented scorer, no question, but she's not a point guard. She's not a playmaker. She's a shooting guard who needs the ball in her hands to be effective. And when she has the ball, she shoots it. That's what she does. That's what she's always done. So why is White running an offense that puts the ball in Mitchell's hands instead of Clark's? Why is she enabling Mitchell's ball-dominant style instead of reining it in? Why is she allowing Mitchell to take shot after shot while Clark stands watching? The only explanation is that White either doesn't recognize the problem or doesn't have the courage to fix it. Either way, it's a damning indictment of her coaching ability. And then there's the Aaliyah Boston situation. Boston won Rookie of the Year last season. She's talented, skilled, and has a bright future. But she's also struggling right now, missing layups, failing to finish around the rim, not providing the interior presence that the Fever need. A good coach would recognize this and adjust. Maybe run fewer post-ups. Maybe use Boston more as a screener and roller. Maybe find ways to get her easier looks until she finds her rhythm. But White just keeps feeding her the ball in the post and hoping she figures it out. And when it doesn't work, when Boston misses another layup, White talks about how it's a momentum killer without actually addressing why it keeps happening. This is what separates good coaches from bad coaches. Good coaches identify problems and fix them. Bad coaches identify problems and make excuses about them. Stephanie White is firmly in the latter category right now. The really frustrating part is that this was all predictable. When Indiana hired White, there were questions about whether she was the right fit. Her previous stint as Fever head coach was mediocre at best. She's been out of the WNBA coaching ranks for years, and now we're seeing exactly why those questions were valid. She's not adapting to her personnel. She's not maximizing her talent. She's not making the necessary adjustments when things aren't working. She's just stubbornly sticking to whatever system she thinks should work, regardless of whether it actually does work. And the worst part? This is Caitlin Clark's rookie season. This is supposed to be the year where she learns the professional game, develops her skills, and establishes herself as a star. Instead, she's being misused, underutilized, and forced to watch Kelsey Mitchell play hero ball while the Fever lose games they should win. You can't get this year back. You can't replay these games. This is it. And Stephanie White is wasting it. So what happens now? Where does Indiana go from here? Because something has to change. This current situation is unsustainable. You can't keep running the same broken offense and expecting different results. You can't keep misusing your best player and hope it magically starts working. The Fever have three options. 1. White figures it out, makes the necessary adjustments, and starts coaching this team properly. 2. The front office steps in and forces changes, whether that's adjusting the offensive system or making personnel moves. 3. They keep losing until White gets fired and they bring in someone who actually knows how to coach modern basketball. Based on what we've seen so far, option 1 seems unlikely. White has shown no indication that she's willing or able to make the necessary changes. She's too invested in her system, too committed to her approach, too stubborn to admit that it's not working. Option 2 is possible, but requires the front office to acknowledge that their coaching hire isn't working out. That's a tough pill to swallow, especially this early in White's tenure. But if the losses keep piling up, if the dysfunction becomes too obvious to ignore, they may have no choice. Option 3 is the most likely outcome if things don't improve quickly. The WNBA is a results-oriented league. Coaches don't get unlimited time to figure things out, especially when they're wasting a generational talent's rookie season. If the Fever keep losing, if they miss the playoffs or get bounced in the first round, White's job security will be in serious jeopardy. And honestly, that might